Well, the Courier Mail has obtained confronting footage of a pro-Palestinian student at the University of Queensland admitting that he would be a terrorist if he lived in Gaza.
Hamas is better than Israel. I want Hamas to succeed in their resistance movement.
Yeah. What would be like kind of a justified amount of civilians to kill in order to liberate Palestine?
It's as many as necessary. Resistance is always necessary because it's an inevitable fact of oppression.
Yeah.
Joining us live now, UQ student Yonatan Mendels. Jonathan, good to see you this morning. How do you respond to something like that?
Look, I've seen the same footage that you have, and I find that deeply, deeply disturbing as a Jewish and Israeli student here on campus. And when you look at that in the context of the incidents that have been happening on campus in the last few days and last couple of weeks here, and then contrast that with what we've seen overseas and interstate, I find that deeply disturbing.
So you've been at the Jewish encampment, right? How are you going, and why do you feel the need to be there?
Look, it's complex. I mean, I'm a medical student, so I've got a lot of things that I could be doing in my spare time.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, though, we believe that Jewish and Israeli students have a right to be peacefully present on campus. And we felt that that was not being supported by the university. And so we have taken steps to make our presence more felt and to push back against some of the hate speech on campus.
How disappointing is that leadership is not there?
Yeah, that's something that we're continuing to try and find new avenues to speak to the university, to help them understand our concerns. Yesterday, there was an incident where a bollard was thrown at a student building. And I think this sort of demonstrates some of the fundamental issues that we're seeing here on campus at UQ.
How would you describe tensions between the encampments?
Look, sometimes it can be relatively peaceful, but I think there's a level of tension that's simmering, and the university has shown that it's not really interested in resolving this, and I find that deeply frustrating.
Is there much provocation coming from the pro-Israeli side?
We've been very peaceful, and that's been a very core message of ours, is to maintain peace and not to protest. We've had one silent demonstration. Other than that, we're mainly here as a voice for Jewish and Israeli students and to push back against the university's inaction.
Yeah. How long do you plan on camping out, Jonathan?
I mean, I've just stayed over last night and ideally not any longer, but it seems that we'll need to stay here until the university takes some decisive action and removes the other encampment. So
how do you feel about this push to criminalise chants, such as from the river to the sea?
Yeah, that's something that I was reading about in the last couple of days, and I've heard there's some politicians thinking about an inquiry. I think the phrase I've been hearing here on campus, the calls for a global intifada from the river to the sea, those are clearly genocidal and hate speech. I find that deeply disturbing, particularly in the context of what occurred during the second intifada in Israel, where there was a series of suicide attacks against civilians. And I think that calling for such an event again is really disturbing.
Yeah. It's not just UQ. There are other institutions and universities, as you know, around the country where this is happening at the moment. Now, there's also details that we've got this morning about an online meeting involving ANU students, some of them using Nazi gestures. Wow. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I just woke up this morning to similar news, and I find that also, I think this demonstrates sort of the simmering vilification and hate speech that's being directed towards Jewish and Israeli students. And I think particularly on campus here, it should be a safe space for us. And I'm noticing, that there are encroachments being made into the local university union and into lecture spaces. And I feel like this is not acceptable.
Yeah, no, it's not. All right, Jonathan, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for joining us. We'll check in with you again soon.